opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
Ganja me meditation, ganja my brain. Ganja weed take away my stress and strain. Ganja me meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away my stress and pain. Ganja me meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away the stress and pain. Ganja is the medication, ganja is the cure. Police of them a fight the marijuana for sure. Purify me heavens and they make me feel pure. And the way the collie we be bring it on door. Ganja in the meditation, ganja in my clothes. No offense, I'm smoking marijuana around you.
Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Ganja News Update for this Monday, July the 13th, 2026, here on NOK Network. And we are live tonight, bringing to you episode 174. And this is the video news podcast focused on cannabis news being reported in mainstream media. And I'm joined by my amazing joint host, Tara Simpson, on over here. So good evening, Tara. I don't even have to ask how you're doing. I know you're feeling still pumped from an amazing, epic weekend yet again up at the Stoner Games and 710 Stoner Games and Cannabis Cup event. Up in,
absolutely. Still kind of riding on a high, but right. At the same time, absolutely burnt out. Right? It's one of those. You know, you'd spend a week preparing to go up. You spend a few days there. You talk your face off with oodles of people that you haven't seen in a year and meet new people that have never been or maybe didn't come in years prior when you were there. And it's nonstop action. From Friday when Sherry Ann and I finally arrived, because we stayed at our friend Lorraine's, of course, Thursday night. When we showed up Friday, things were already getting underway. I mean, Puff and Paint was going to start shortly. And then after that, we had karaoke. And then after that was Ken Crazy Crazy Fingers' parent playing on his guitar. So there was like just nonstop things to do. And then in between then, you know, you're running around talking to people and just hanging out and smoking weed. And of course, Friday night was psychedelic night, so there were lots of psychedelics that took place at the event. Skippy and his crew, shout out to them because they are absolutely crazy wild. Those guys just keep the party going. I, of course, am not a late nighter, but did have a few late nights before I went and finally crashed. But there were some of them that I don't think ever went to bed all weekend. I don't know for certain. But
I believe for sure on the Friday night.
Friday night, there were still people up when I got up at like 5 o'clock and was,
those people never went to bed. Those people never went to bed. Saturday night, I think they did get some sleep. I also just want to get on a quick shout out to Mike Baker and his crew from Seed to Smoke. Apparently, they were our food vendor for the weekend, and they did an awesome job at supplying some awesome food at some great prices. And from what I hear from Mike, they sold out.
They did. I was really impressed when they said they were going to be up there doing food for the event. I wasn't sure what that looked like because I just know them as, you know, regular everyday vendors from different events that I've done. I've never seen them do food like some of the other vendors that I know that do food, right? Yeah. Absolutely. Hands down, they did a great job. They kept everyone fed all weekend. They didn't know how many people would be there or how many people they would serve, but they made an estimate and they bought enough food and they sold it all. At the end, I think there was like a couple of hot dogs and hamburgers he was cooking up late Saturday night, and that was it. So that's good because they didn't have to lug it all back, and they didn't overspend either. So it was fantastic, and they did a really great job. So I'm sure Kim will have them back again next year to do food. And from what I hear, they're going to be doing food at some of our major cannabis events in and around Toronto, Hamilton area.
Nice.
That's what I heard. I don't know which events yet. I didn't really have a chance to kind of pick their brains on that when I was up there, but they're looking at doing kind of a similar style thing on top of having their regular booth at some of these events. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool because they did an amazing job. Really.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
I couldn't have done their job. And those guys, they didn't really stop all weekend because, they were in the kitchen cooking for everyone. And it wasn't like it was, our kitchen hours or kitchen's open for an hour. It was like if you wanted a hot dog, a hamburger, or whatever else they still had, you went and asked them and they threw it on the grill for you. It was fresh, made hot, right? So they were pretty busy most of the weekend. They didn't even participate in the actual games.
I know.
That's okay. That's okay. They kept us all fed.
Well, that's like myself. For the past 2 years, I haven't participated in the games, in the actual games, because I'm running the live broadcast.
Right. You're behind the scenes running the broadcast. So you weren't running the gauntlet of crazy games Kim had for us this year. Bigfoot was an absolute blast.
I saw with the pictures and videos.
Yes.
Awesome.
Definitely coming back next year with that game. I think she's going to make some modifications to the actual big feet. They were made out of like a foam board, which held up for the first couple of races. But as we went, traipsing through the field with these giant flippy floppy foam board feet, people were tripping on their toes and breaking toes off. Not literal toes, but big feet toes. And, we did some duct taping to them and kind of tried to salvage them. So I think that the plan is they're going to be made out of a more durable but lighter weight material, like not a heavy wood, but there is going to be a modification to that game. So that's kind of cool. I'm curious to see how we do at it next year.
That pumping up the balloon one where you got to sit on a chair and pump up the balloon, that's a good one too.
That's a good one too, and it's absolutely hilarious because you have to really know how to work that pump because there's an air intake on it, and so a lot of the balloons that weren't really pumping up, even though the person was like jumping up and down on the damn thing, was because they weren't lifting their leg up off that intake. So every time they squeezed down, it wasn't drawing air in, so it's not gonna So there were a few struggles, but another good game. That was a first last year, and now it made a comeback for this year. So that was kind of cool to see. I really want to see the donut game come back.
Right. I realized that one wasn't there this year.
Yeah, that one was fun, and I remember doing that one my first year there and absolutely killing it with the time. Everyone struggled, and for some reason I was like, boom, 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 and to the finish line. I got it down pat and killed everyone's time on that one. That was cool. But we didn't play that one last year, and we didn't this year. So maybe Kim will bring that one back next year.
Maybe. But just before we get on with tonight's news, you also won something. What'd you win?
I did. So I entered 3 categories in the Cup event. And one of them I brought home an award for. So I won Best Mushroom Champion.
Right on. Now there's now who was your there was someone that was neck and neck almost. They were like 3 points off.
So I don't know how many people entered that category. I think there was like 4 products total that were entered. I don't know if it was just me and Seed to Smoke or whether there was another entry in there, but we were literally 3 points apart. So Mike and Mike from Seed to Smoke almost took my award. But I had a feeling that, it was going to be Mushroom Oreos for the win. Just saying, it's different. And I know what I'm doing, and people seem to really like them. So we'll see. Apparently they're coming for me for next year. So we'll see. neat products they can come out with for next year's cup competition. I have a few little tricks up my sleeve. I'm already plotting and planning next year's entry. I have a really good one, so we'll see how that goes over. I have a feeling it's going to bring me a third trophy. So we shall see. We'll see.
Right. But the fun part about this is before the games and cup is even over, people are already planning for the next year, for the following year. Like for my studio, I've already gotten more things planned, how I can have things set up better and stuff like that, make it easier to do, and all that, right?
And back to the awards just for 1 second, because I think there's someone who really needs some recognition on these awards. So like I said, I entered 3 categories. One was CBD and one was topical. And I didn't know whose bath soap, which was in the topical category, had been entered. I had no idea. Absolutely no clue. I'd never even seen it before. So I was at a loss as to who I was in competition with, because we try to figure these things out, right? And I was absolutely amazed to find out that it was our very own Elle, and that she won an award for her bath soap. So a huge shout out to Miss Elle, because she's earned it, and I'm really, really proud of her.
And there's how you can get a hold of Elle as well.
Yes.
Elle's Loving Craft. She's an amazing person.
Absolutely.
And she worked so caring.
She worked her little patootie off at that event this weekend. She was dad master in lieu of Sub not being there.
She did a big drive around to get stuff to bring.
I don't know what all she did behind the scenes, but I'm sure Kim had her pretty busy, and she was up there before I was. So
she did an awesome job.
Yeah, she really did, and she earned that award. I'm so happy for her, and I just wanted to give her a little bit of recognition for that.
Yeah, she also won the door prize too.
She did.
The cat picture by the cat painting by
Georgia Tunes.
Georgia Tunes.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so we had a good weekend that way, I guess.
Right. We could go on talking. We could make this whole show about the weekend, but
we could. So many stories.
It's called Ganja News Update for a reason, and we're going to bring you guys your Ganja News Update for this week. So now, with our top stories making cannabis news, here we go. Our first story we have is coming to us from, as soon as I get the right layout here, there we go. It's coming to us from CTV News. Now, this is a very short story. Doesn't give a whole lot of information. And this is a story we've been following, and there's not been a whole lot of information on this story much at all. It goes on here to say, Six Nations repeals law governing cannabis. This is written by Shelby Knox, published on July the 10th of this year. A cannabis licensing body on Six Nations of the Grand River will be shutting down. On Thursday, Six Nations of the Grand River announced the elected council had repealed the Six Nations Cannabis Control Law and Cannabis Control Regulations, effective immediately. The regulation was introduced in 2021 and allowed people interested in cultivating or manufacturing and selling cannabis products to apply for a license through the Six Nations Cannabis Commission. The elected council cited ongoing challenges with compliance, enforcement, and financial stability as factors in their decision. They said when they started collecting public feedback on the issue on May 29th, there was only one licensed business in the community. A news release also said Six Nations spend $4.86 million on regulations within its jurisdiction. And I just realized that is the story. It is a very short story, but not much information. So, like, what's happening here?
Yeah, so Six Nations Cannabis Control or Cannabis Commission controls the Six Nations Cannabis Control Law. Is that how this works? Is that what I'm getting from this? The Six Nations Commission.
Yeah.
In charge of like their own, kind of like they're their own OCS is what I'm getting from this.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
So they're shutting down their commission, or they're
shutting. They're repealing the like they're getting rid
law
of the
and regulations.
law and regulations. So where do things go? Like, who's looking after things, and do they fall under the province?
So it's like their elected council, like, so they're band chiefs and stuff. Is that what I'm getting from elected council?
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so their own people are fighting their own cannabis regulation people, basically, is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I think it's like they're I don't know what the issues are. It's very, very confusing, and again, like I said, not a lot of information is coming out. I overheard Kim asking someone at the event, like, what's happening with the Six Nations?
Because, right. So what I'm taking away from this is that their elected band council is repealing the control law that the Cannabis Commission out there put in place, because nobody's complying with it and nobody's enforcing it anyways. That's kind of what I get from this article.
Yeah. So who's like, where do things go from here? Like,
right. What enforcement are they allowed to take as a Cannabis Commission on Six Nations? Like, is this, police action with, because I believe Six Nations polices themselves. They have their own tribal police.
Yeah, I've got no idea.
So I don't know. That's interesting. And that's, not a lot of information, but it sounds like there's trouble brewing out on the res.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for stories in the coming weeks.
For sure.
That gives a little bit more information on this. So yeah, very short story there. So I'll let you take the next one here, if you don't mind.
For sure. So our next one is coming to us from stratcan.com, and it states that Victoria Council renews support for VCBC amidst ongoing provincial enforcement. And this was written by David Brown on July 8th of this year. That's pretty cool, because we know these people. And we've been watching what's been happening to them out there in BC. City Council in Victoria, BC is again calling on the provincial government to end enforcement of provincial cannabis rules against the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club. In a letter sent to BC Attorney General Nikki Sherman and Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General Nina Krieger, Victoria Mayor Marianne Alto asked about the reasons for enforcement actions against the VCBC in April and again in May. I write on behalf of Victoria City Council to inquire about the rationale for recent enforcement against the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and to reinforce our historical support for VCBC, reads the beginning of the letter. This is not the first time the City Council has expressed their support for the dispensary. In 2020, the council had unanimously supported a call from the VCBC to seek an exemption from the province from enforcement, which the BC government subsequently rejected. Well, of course they did. Raids on the VCBC store and the subsequent eviction notice from its landlord under threat of civil forfeiture of their building make no sense in the current environment of cannabis legality, regulation, and popular recreational use, stated Alto at another point in the letter. The Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club has been operating in Victoria since the 1990s at several locations in the city. The club has faced ongoing enforcement by the BC Community Safety Unit following legalization in 2018, beginning with an educational visit in 2019 that later escalated to enforcement actions and product seizure. In 2025, following repeated investigations, raids, and seizures, BC's deputy director issued a compliance order imposing an AMP of, $3 million?
Yes, $3.2 million.
$235,465.74 on the VCBC based on the estimated value of previously seized products. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. So
It is.
the mayor of Victoria has basically schooled the public safety minister and the attorney general
Mhm.
on this, saying like, "Come on, guys, what the heck are you doing?"
Yeah.
Type of thing. Like, go after like what are you doing? And the thing is, the VCBC has been around since the 1990s.
Yep. And they
So
didn't touch them then. They didn't start
exactly
going after them until legalization.
right. And here's the other thing: VCBC operates as a medical dispensary, which is under federal regulations. The
Mhm.
BC Community Safety Unit is
Has
a
no
provincial
jurisdiction.
unit. They have no jurisdiction in it.
No.
So why are they even doing any of this?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what the judicial review is about, is to like, come on,
Yeah.
we've we've been fighting Health Canada. We've been fighting everybody. There's no harm being done.
Exactly.
Only good coming
The
out
only
of it,
harm being done is when they can't open to serve their
right?
patients.
Right. And
Yeah.
I see the posts. I see the posts. Some of their members are on Ted's Facebook and stuff, and he's giving updates, and they're like freaking out because they don't know where they're getting their medicine from next.
Right.
And some of these individuals have said, you know what, if I can't get my cannabis, I'm either going back to the street drugs, or the hard drugs and that, or
Mhm.
or I'm gonna go apply for MAID.
Right.
Meanwhile,
That's right.
if they've got access to their cannabis, affordable, easy to access, they're loving life.
Exactly.
Take that away, you've just taken away their lifeline, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, so wrong.
yeah, exactly. It is. It's crazy. The VCBC is asking for a pause on provincial enforcement until a judicial review is complete. It is this judicial review that we believe will redeem the VCBC and force Health Canada to license storefront medical access to provide high-dose edibles, Smith wrote in a letter. In addition to requesting that enforcement be paused, VCBC has asked the Victoria Council to lease the space it can use in the meantime. In May, VCBC founder Ted Smith posted on social media that the CSU was beginning the process of seizing the home of his partner and VCBC board member Clea, because she was on the board of directors when the club was raided and fined in $3.2 million. The latest efforts by the province to attack and defeat the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club threatens the existence of a long-standing community service that has a history of supporting the healthcare needs of patients who have neither the financial nor systemic capacity to find that care elsewhere, wrote Alto in her final paragraph of the recent letter. I urge you to halt your persecution of the VCBC at least until their judicial review has been solved. And that's all Ted's asking for as well. Just give us let us have the judicial review, and then we'll go from there. Because he's quite certain that the judicial review is gonna be on their side. And if that's the case, I think so too. Like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Because if not, if I can tell you right now, if not, if they're deemed to be guilty or whatever, and whatever it is, I think you're going to see a major action from patients against Health Canada, because look where we are 25, 26 years later after medical cannabis has been around, and we don't have hardly anything like recreational. You can go out and you go everywhere and buy it, but you can't talk about it, about the medicinal benefits or anything. So something's got to give soon, right?
Absolutely.
So anyways, that's the end of that story there. I do believe it is. So we're going to go off to our next one here, and I don't think it's too long of one either.
No.
Do you mind starting this one off for us?
Yeah. So this one is coming to us from Global News.ca, Toronto Police Corruption Investigation uncovers alleged cannabis dispensary conspiracy. And this was written by Isaac Callan on July 7th of this year. After months of intercepting phone calls and physical surveillance, investigators following leads into alleged Toronto police corruption discovered a conspiracy to set up and operate illegal cannabis dispensaries and massage parlors. A new document claims court records partially made public after a consortium of media companies, including Global News, requested that the court unseal hundreds of pages of evidence, including some fresh details of allegations investigators first leveled in February. Portions of the information to obtain written testimony that police must provide to a judge in order to obtain a search warrant have been released, although the majority remains under a publication ban. One section of the document, which was written by York Regional Police as they sought permission to search homes, cars, and phones, claims detective came up on a dispensary conspiracy as part of Project South, and they spelt marijuana wrong. Why do they do that? Anyway,
I know. Why do they do that?
You're a news outlet, you know. you should be able to spell.
That's how the government spells it, though.
Is it?
Yeah. Look at Health Canada's. Look at the grow papers in your legal document, and on the where I used to get my my cannabis from the legal producer. I think it says that on the package too.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to look at it right now.
Interesting. I'm going to have to deep dive that.
Yeah. This part of the investigation arises from lawfully authorized intercepted private communications corroborated by physical surveillance and other investigative steps, the document explained. Investigators claimed their police corruption investigation, sparked by concerns officers were illegally checking license plates for civilians, had uncovered an organized criminal scheme to establish and operate illegal marijuana dispensaries and massage parlors in Toronto. The details of how the alleged scheme operated and who was involved are all covered by a publication ban that the media consortium is fighting to overturn. In February, York Regional Police Deputy Chief Ryan Hogan claimed 4 of the officers arrested as part of Project South had been taking bribes from a man accused of being a key figure in a Toronto area criminal network. The investigation also identified 4 Toronto police officers in an operation orchestrated by Mr. Brian DaCosta, he said. We allege that these officers in particular were involved with Mr. DaCosta in supporting illegal cannabis dispensaries by accepting bribes to provide, ultimately, protection from law enforcement investigation. So this is your police, folks. This is your Toronto police. And you know what? It's this is not the first time that corruption has been uncovered within the Toronto Police Force. And just recently, I think within York Region Police Force, Barrie Police Force, and I think somewhere else, some corruption has been in criminal activity been found. But Toronto, they also go back years ago with criminal activity among their cops, some of their cops.
Yeah.
I know that because I know that from a family source that worked not in the law enforcement side, but worked in vehicle maintenance.
Right.
So
interesting, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. We allege these officers in particular were involved with Mr. DaCosta in supporting illegal cannabis dispensaries by accepting bribes to provide, ultimately, protection from law enforcement investigations. DaCosta was charged with a range of offenses, including cannabis for the purpose of distribution and giving a peace officer a bribe. None of the allegations contained in either the ITO or the charges laid by police in February have been proven in court. 7 serving Toronto police officers were arrested as part of Project South, which the ITO claims has linked to a variety of Toronto crime stories, including accused drug lord Ryan Wedding. News organizations will be back in court seeking the release of more documents in the case on July 30th. So interesting that they're even linked to this whole Ryan Wedding thing. He's the big cocaine trafficker.
Right.
Very interesting.
Well, when you think about it, though, from the people, some people may be surprised that police officers are getting involved in criminal activity. But here's the thing. Don't forget, you got your undercover cops. I don't know if these are undercover or not. But a lot of times your undercover cops get so deep into the criminal organizations that they're they're infiltrating, and they end up finding themselves on the other side of the fence. Sometimes.
It'll be interesting to see if that's the case here, or whether these are those cops that are like, you know what, we know how we can screw the system because we're cops, right?
Yeah, right.
Which
can happen,
and it happens a lot.
Cops, politicians, anyone connected with power, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of crazy, but anyways, well, we've reached that point in the show, folks, where you know what time it is. It's medication time.
That's right, folks. It's time to pay some bills, so stay tuned for a word from some of our amazing sponsors, and then we'll return with more stories making mainstream media news.
That's right. We'll be back in just a few minutes. In fact, 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on Ganja News Update on NOP Network.
Dirty Dave, award-winning cultivator for over 4 decades. Dirty Dave, prized genetics fueled by advanced nutrients, original OG organics. Dirty Dave, award-winning products available at these fine establishments. Ask your shop to carry Dirty Dave. Contact us at dirtiesdoggies@gmail.com.
Established in 2013, Northern Ontario Cannabis Education and Resources is here for you. NOSER Director Kim Cooper brings you 45 plus years experience utilizing cannabis as a medicine, and she is spreading that education across the North. Don't be a jackass. Say no, sir, to propaganda with NOSER. Find them at www.nocer.ca.
Hey, hi, my name is John Mark, aka Sublimator Warrior, and I would like to welcome you to Smoke Signal in Tyendinaga.
One dab make your whole dome drip sweat. One dab make the homies all dip set. One dab, only really need one dab. One dab.
Smoke Signal is a medical dispensary where you can get all your products and
Might
needs.
start vaping a whole bunch. Might just start laying up the blunts. God. Ooey, ooey, gooey, that's a sticky dab. Sticky dab. Might just have to put this one on Instagram. Go and hold it in, feel it in your ribs.
So come and check us out in Tyendinaga. 55 Highway 49 in Tyendinaga. It's on the res, and we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
Hey, dudes and dudettes. Enjoy the show, man.
And we're back from our medication session live here on Ganja News Updates on NOK Network.
That's right. And we have another set of stories coming at you. So making cannabis news, so let's get at it. And our next story that we have here is coming to us from, where is it coming to us from? Where does it go? Leafy.co.uk. This story is one that we were supposed to bring to you guys last week. We didn't make it through all of them, so we're bringing it to you here today. It says back pain patients see sustained, and it's in quotations, so they're emphasizing that word sustained, pain relief from inhaled cannabis, ceasing opioid use. A 5-year study finds that patients with treatment-resistant lower back pain experienced significant improvements and were able to stop taking prescription opioids after switching to medical cannabis. This story was written by Liam O'Dowd on July 3rd, 2026. Patients with chronic lower back pain who failed to respond to traditional therapies experienced large, sustained, and statistically robust improvements when they switched to inhaled medical cannabis, according to a 5-year study published in the journal Biomedicines. Researchers followed 241 patients from 2020 to 2025, finding that 89% of participants achieved at least a 30% reduction in pain levels after 5 years of cannabis use. More significantly, opioid use among the group fell from 100% to just 5%, whilst anti-inflammatory use dropped from 100% to 7%. Those are huge numbers. And I can identify with these numbers. If I was included in this study, I would be among one of the ones that got rid of the opioids altogether and the anti-inflammatories, because I also had treatment-resistant lower back pain. I have several herniated discs. I have severe spinal stenosis in the L5-S1. And then there's moderate stenosis just above that. So this is like, I'm a part of these statistics that you're seeing here. And it's amazing, the relief that I have found with it. And I'm sure that all these other people have too. And that's such a great thing, because what we fail to sometimes remember, at least me, we talk about these studies and we talk about the numbers. The thing is, behind those numbers are real people that just like us, that have had their lives significantly changed.
Absolutely.
Right? Inhaled medical cannabis was associated with large they're repeating themselves in here, but with large, statistically robust, and clinically meaningful sustained improvements in pain, disability, pain severity, and pain interference, the researchers wrote. The study participants who had an average of 49, age of average, oh, geez. I think the sleepiness is hitting in right now. The study participants who had an average of age of 49 and had been living with chronic pain for an average of 15 years had all previously failed to respond to at least 1 year of conventional treatments, including opioids, NSAIDs, antidepressants, and physiotherapy. I tried all of those. I've had lower back pain since 1998 when I fell off a ladder. So each patient served as their own historical control, and with their pre-cannabis baseline outcomes compared to results over the following 5 years.
Yeah, so that's pretty significant when you look at that, right?
Right.
Participants used inhaled or vaporized cannabis containing THC levels between 4% and 22%, CBD concentrations between 2% and 22%. The researchers noted they chose to study inhaled cannabis because of its rapid onset, on-demand titratability, and patient preference. By year 7% of patients had achieved at least a 50% reduction in pain levels, while 93 met the minimum clinically important difference threshold. The retention rate remained exceptionally high at 99%, with only 2% of patients discontinuing treatment due to adverse events or lack of efficacy. The study also documented a near complete displacement of conventional pain medications, alongside a dramatic reduction in opioid as well as NSAID use. SSRI and SNRI antidepressants use fell from 81% to 5%, while gabapentin use dropped from 39% to 3%. 99.8% of recorded side effects were graded as mild. The most common effect were ocular symptoms, cognitive effects, and gastrointestinal reaction. All well-documented effects of inhaled cannabis. No deaths were reported during the study period, and no patient experienced moderate or severe cannabis-related adverse events. Isn't that fucking interesting?
Right.
Just that's a huge decline in the amount of people taking what they call conventional medicine in place.
I was on 20. Sorry.
And the success rate.
Yep.
If they were having success with their current regimen, would they be going to cannabis?
Right.
Wow.
Right. It's crazy. It's crazy. With the 23 pills a day that I was on before, probably about 3/4 of those or more, about 80% of those were all those type of medications you just listed there.
Yeah.
It was all opioids, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, max doses for all that. Gabapentin.
I was on gabapentin and Lyrica, which is also pregabalin.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. I know what pregabalin is too. With Lyrica.
I've taken them both. Why not? Let's take high doses of the same medications.
I'd rather take high doses of cannabis.
Yeah. Right.
So let's get the high doses out there for our patients.
Yeah. The within patient benefit risk profile supports consideration of cannabis as a potentially clinical, meaningful opioid sparing option in patients who have failed multimodal conventional therapy, the study concluded. However, the researchers emphasized that while the results are promising, randomized comparative trials of inhaled cannabis versus continue multimodal therapy are needed before causal claims can be made definitively. The observational nature of the study means factors such as regression to the mean and expectancy effects cannot be entirely ruled out. Oh my God, I'm tired too, because obviously I'm melting off the page right now. The findings align with the growing evidence that cannabis can serve as an effective substitute for opioids in chronic pain management. The study, published in May of 2026, found that long-term chronic pain patients were able to lower their opioid consumption after the introduction of funded medical cannabis, with the results showing 65% reduction in mean daily opioid consumption. So see what they said there in funded, right? If patients have funding like they did for the prescriptions they were getting, then maybe we would see a lot more decrease in opioid use in general, because they would have funded cannabis, so that they wouldn't need their funded opioids.
Yeah. And you know what I think you'd see too, within the disability community, people who are on provincial disability specifically, is we'll see like there's a lot of those individuals. They are not required to go out and look for work or anything like that because of their disability.
Right.
They're exempted from it as per the regulations. However, if they want to go work, they can, and they are able to make some extra money for themselves. I think what you will end up seeing if you had funded medical cannabis, like they do for if you're on provincial disability. I'm on ODSP. Majority of my prescriptions I don't pay for if I get them. I don't get them anymore. Right. The government used to pay $50,000 a year for my prescriptions. They pay zero for my cannabis, and they pay zero for my prescriptions now because I'm not on any.
Right.
So look at the cost savings for
your prescription cannabis. And I mean, it is prescribed by a doctor.
Exactly.
Why are they not covering that? Right.
Yep.
It would be far cheaper for them to cover that than for you to be on all of those medications.
Yep. And you'll see people returning back to work and being more contributing back to society because they're feeling better.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, you can on average get, say, like a pound of cannabis through, legacy means for maybe around $1,000 a pound, right?
Yeah.
And you don't smoke a pound in a month.
No.
Right. So for $1,200 a year, they could be funding your cannabis.
Exactly.
But they would rather spend $50,000 on all the pharmaceuticals. Make that make sense to me.
I got to get a t-shirt. I have to get a t-shirt.
Absolutely.
Hashtag make it make sense.
You just need to get it tattooed right on your arm. So you can just put your arm up and be like,
right. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So anyways, great to see these studies here like this. And this is it's a 5-year study, and not just like 10 patients. It was 241 patients.
Right.
So it's a significant chunk of people. So,
absolutely it is.
Anyways, moving on to our next story here, and this is also one that we failed to be able to finish off last week, so we'll bring it to you this week, folks. Marijuana's entourage effect varies by terpene and cannabinoid receptor, new study suggests. So we've talked about this before, about different terpenes can provide different effects and stuff like that, but from each other. But not only just that, but from person to person, things can be different. And your cannabinoid receptors can be different from one another. But not only that, your own cannabinoid receptors can change. As you get healthier or sicker, your cannabinoid receptors change based on your body's needs, because the cannabinoid system, the endocannabinoid system, monitors and takes care of all of our systems.
Right.
And it's the kind of like the CPU almost, where it's providing all that information.
Mhm.
Anyways, this was written by Tom Angel on July the 2nd. Another study has found evidence of an entourage effect where marijuana compounds work together to achieve results that are more robust than the sum of their parts. But it also says that the effect may be more nuanced than earlier research has indicated. Specifically, researchers at the University of Israel determined that different terpenes don't simply add to the effects of THC. It depends on the type of terpenes involved and the cannabinoid receptors that are targeted. In addition to potentiating THC activation in cannabinoid receptors, some interactions are synergistic. That's the case when terpenes such as borneol, limonene, saponine, terpineol, apinine, and ocimene interact with CB1 receptors, and when B-caryophyllene and linalool interacts with CB2 receptors. In other words, the pre-proof study set to be published in the journal Biochemical Pharmacology suggests that the entourage effect is more complicated than it's commonly understood to be. There's a quote here: terpene mixtures displayed dose-dependent CB1R activation, and several mixtures synergistically enhanced THC responses it found. Together, our findings suggest that cannabis terpenes may act as both partial orthosteric agonists and allosteric modulators at CB1R and CB2R. These results provide a mechanistic framework for cannabinoid terpene synergy and highlight the importance of receptor specificity and of formulation design in shaping terpene-mediated activation. The researchers wrote, these findings stress the need for terpenes selection for formulations tailored for specified medicinal needs. And that's something that Corey Yelland, the late Corey Yelland, was working on with multi-strain oils. First, she started doing like 4 strains. Then she started getting up to 10. Then she was doing some 20s and 30s, I do believe. And for the majority of it, they were tailored to the individual, not just for that individual all the time, but for specific times. They would use this regimen of oil, then then they move on when they need to. They move on to the next different blend, and it seemed to really Corey really had the science on that. I think
That's cool.
right?
Yeah.
And when you're getting into 20, 30 oil blends that are customized, that's serious lab work right there.
That's serious medicine.
Right. And to my knowledge, all of this is all documented too. She was documenting all this specifically for the purpose of the research.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I don't think so at the very beginning so much, but she ended up doing that more.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyways, where do we leave off? Okay, I'll let you carry on.
While the results must still be backed by future studies, the author said that given that terpenes are generally recognized as safe, they may offer regulatory and safety advantages over synthetic cannabinoid receptor modulators modulators. Future work may elaborate the mechanistic basis of terpene-mediated modulation of cannabinoids activity using mutagenesis, structural modeling, and allosteric site mapping. The study says in vivo or clinical studies will be essential to validate whether the synergistic and additive interactions observed at the receptor level translate into enhanced analgesic, anti-inflammatory, or neuroprotective effects. And there's a quote here: our findings support a shift from non-specific, full-spectrum, whole plant preparations towards rationally designed cannabinoid products enriched with selected terpenes. Such formulations may potentially leverage specific terpene THC interactions, either synergistic or additive, to target distinct therapeutic needs. Overall, our findings provide a mechanistic framework for understanding how terpenes may contribute to the e-cannabinoid system pharmacology and highlight their potential utility in the development of safer and more efficacious cannabis-based therapeutics, the study concluded. There's been growing interest into the entourage effect with cannabis over recent years. In 2024, for example, a review of research into the synergistic effects of the chemical components in cannabis found that terpenes popularity credited with modulating the experience of cannabis may indeed be influencers in the therapeutic benefits of cannabinoids, though for now that influence remains unproven. A separate study published in that year in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences said that the complex interaction between phytocannabinoids and biological systems offers hope for novel treatment approaches, potentially laying the groundwork for a new era of innovation in cannabis-based medicine. The plant cannabis exhibits an effect called the entourage effect, in which the combined actions of terpenes and phytocannabinoids results in effects that exceed the sum of their separate contributions, that study found. This synergy emphasizes how important it is to consider the entire plant when utilizing cannabinoids medicinally, as opposed to just concentrating on the individual cannabinoids. A federally funded study published in 2024, meanwhile, found that terpenes could be potential therapeutics for chronic neuropathic pain, finding that an injected dose of the compounds produced a roughly equal reduction in pain markers when compared to a smaller dose of morphine. Terpenes also appeared to enhance the efficacy of morphine when given in combination. Unlike with morphine, however, none of the studied terpenes produced a meaningful reward response. That research found indicating that terpenes could be effective analgesics with no rewarding or dysphoric side effects. Well, I mean, that would be helpful, eh?
Right. Another study published that year looked at the collaborative interactions between cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids, and other molecules in the plant, concluding that a better understanding of the relationships of various chemical components is crucial for unraveling cannabis's complete therapeutic potential. Other recent research funded by the National Institute on Drug Abuse found that a citrusy smelling terpene in marijuana, D-limonene, could help ease anxiety and paranoia associated with THC. Researchers similarly said the finding could help unlock the maximum therapeutic benefit of THC. A separate study in 2023 found that cannabis products with a more diverse array of natural cannabinoids produce stronger psychoactive experiences in adults, which also lasted longer than the high generated by pure THC. A 2018 study found that patients suffering from epilepsy experienced better health outcomes with fewer adverse side effects when they use plant-based CBD extracts compared to purified CBD products. Scientists last year also discovered previously unidentified cannabis compounds called flavorants, that they believe are responsible for the unique aromas of different varieties of marijuana. Previously, many had thought terpenes alone were responsible for various smells produced by the plant. Similar phenomena are also beginning to be recorded around psychedelic plants and fungi. In March, for example, researchers published findings showing that use of full-spectrum psychedelic mushroom extract had a more powerful effect than chemically synthesized psilocybin alone. They said the findings implied that mushrooms, like cannabis, demonstrate an entourage effect. That's interesting. I never had heard about that before. Had you cover you're covering psychedelic reporters as of late. Have you come across anything like that?
Nothing on full spectrum psychedelic mushroom extract, but I do know that there are people that are using like psilocybin distillate, right?
Yeah.
So they're extracting it. I also know you can make like an alcohol tincture and extract it that way as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we've got a lot. We're on the horizon of a major advancements in both cannabis and psychedelics as medicine. I hope that the natural way will stay, but we all know that the synthesized versions will most likely be the ones that win because it's how they're going to make their money and patent those different versions in that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, but as these stories confirm, the non-synthesized is the best. And carrying on with the subject of cannabinoids, we have this next story here. Do you mind taking this one away?
Yeah, so it comes to us from internationalcbc.com. And it was written by Johnny Green on July 8th of this year. Researchers find cannabinoid-induced lung cancer cell death. According to the World Health Organization, lung cancer is one of the biggest health problems facing the world today and is the leading cause of cancer cases, and deaths worldwide. An estimated 2.5 million cases of lung cancer are diagnosed every year, and approximately 1.8 million people die from it annually. Lung cancer occurs when the abnormal cell growth grows uncontrollably in the lungs. Treatment depends on the person's medical history and the stage of the disease. Who writes on his website, the two major types of lung cancer are non-small cell lung cancer, which accounts for roughly 85% of cases, and small cell lung cancer, which is less common but typically more aggressive. A team of German researchers affiliated with the Institute of Pharmacology and Toxicology at Rostock University Medical Center and the Electron Microscopy Center at Rostock University Medical Center and the University of Rostock recently conducted a study examining the lesser-known cannabinoids cannabigerolol and cannabichromine, so CBG and CBC, and their effects on lung cancer cells. The researchers' findings were published in the journal Antioxidants. There's now substantial preclinical evidence supporting the anti-cancer action of various cannabinoids in different tumor entities. This effect extends to inhibition of tumor cell proliferation, angiogenesis, invasion, and metastasis, as well as the induction of apoptosis and autophagy. In addition, synergy between cannabinoids and the established chemotherapeutics at a level of tumor cell proliferation and apoptosis was demonstrated in many cases, the researchers wrote. Wow.
Right. The researchers obtained lung cancer cells from the German collection of microorganisms A549 and cell cultures and the American type culture collection H460. The researchers cultured the cells in a humidified incubator and further prepared them for use in the study, after which the cells were treated with CBG and CBC. The non-psychoactive phytocannabinoids CBG and CBC, which remain comparatively underexplored, because everyone's so interested in THC and CBD, right? Mm-hmm. There's so many other. There's like over 300.
Well, we know THC does kill cancer cells,
right?
But interestingly enough, a lot of people out there think that you can cure cancer just with CBD. So can we?
Right.
We don't know, right?
Yeah, because there's not been there's not been a whole lot studied on cannabinoids.
No,
not really.
No.
not at all. And that's because it was all illegal to do so for beforehand. Okay, so underexplored were shown to induce pronounced pro-apoptotic effects and mitochondrial dysfunction in the human lung cancer cell lines A549 and H460, with CBG acting via the transcription factor PPAR to promote apoptotic cell death. Notably, CBG exerted stronger effects than CBC with regard to cell viability reduction and inhibition of mitochondrial respiration, suggesting greater translational relevance for therapeutic development. The researchers concluded the involvement of PPAR-A in CBG-mediated cytotoxicity warrants further investigation in preclinical models and additional tumor entities. Cannabidiol was first isolated from a hexane extract of hashish in 1964 by Israeli scientists Dr. Yehiel Gaoni and Dr. Raphael Meshulam at the Weizmann Institute in Rehovot in Israel. Bichromine was identified 2 years later in 1966 through research conducted by Dr. Meshulam and Dr. Gaoni in Israel and by Dr. R.A. Clausen and his team in Germany. Over the years, the two cannabinoids have not been the focus of as much research as tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, and cannabidiol, or CBD. However, research of lesser-known cannabinoids has increased in recent years. So, yeah, that's cool. That
it is.
About cancer cell death with other cannabinoids, other than just THC and CBD and whatnot. So that's cool. That is cool. And
be interesting to see what comes of those studies and just to see how effective it is in certain types of cancer treatment, even, right? Yeah. Maybe it's not for certain types of cancer, it might not work quite as well as other cancers, but we'll have to see what that looks like when they're done their studies.
Yeah, it's cool. I love all this stuff coming out.
Yeah.
When you see it all, like when it's talked about on the legacy side and whatnot, right? It's a different thing when it's like right out there in mainstream and all these studies are being done.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyways, I think we've reached the end of the show, folks. So I just want to take this time to just thank you for joining us here on Ganja News Update on NOK Network and for tuning in to our video podcast on NOK Network's Rumble and social media pages. Or Rumble, and we don't have you. Well, I am on YouTube tonight. I see Kim put my YouTube up there. So we're on Rumble and YouTube tonight and several other social media sites like Twitch, X, and LinkedIn and Facebook.
We hope you've enjoyed your update today of mainstream media coverage of cannabis news and information from around the globe.
And many thanks to our sponsors for making this show possible. Thank you to my joint host, Tara Simpson, right on over here, and to you, our listeners, for joining us here each week on Education Mondays with Ganja News Update on NOK Network. We'll see you all again next week, and good night, everyone. Peace.
Ganja my meditation, ganja my brain. Ganja weed take away my stress and strain. Ganja my meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away my stress and pain. Ganja my meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away the stress and pain. Ganja is the medication. meditation, ganja is the cure. Police of them a fight the marijuana for sure. Purify me essence and they make me feel pure. And the way the Cali we be bring it on tour. Ganja in the meditation, ganja in my door.